Guardians of the Galaxy is a game that we were pretty hyped about ever since we saw the first trailer. I remember freaking out when I saw it the first time, like we finally get to play as the Guardian of the Galaxy in a full-fledged game. Hell yeah!
At first we had some doubt about the game, seeing the design for the character, and after the Avenger disaster, I even made a video about that, but we were still pretty optimistic, and the game didn't disappoint on that.
The game outdid our expectation and made me and the boys fan of this Guardians of the Galaxy version. For its great story, gameplay and immersion. Its heavy metal vibe also did the trick. So let's hope this video can get true to you of our love of the game and maybe make you buy it. That's quite the task, but we got this. Probably.
Now for the story, I won't spoil too much, but let's just say that in the story you and your fellow Guardians try to make quick money, and that soon spiral into a universe-saving quest with twists and turns at every corner that are as epic as they are fun and deep. So do yourself a favor and play the game.
And you know what's really great? The whole vibe this game gives out. You can wear any costume you please with your character and your team. You can pop so many classic music while fighting a horde of enemies. You got an awesome story with choice that matter to some extent and make you think carefully of what you're gonna do. You got a llama. You have multiple planets to explore and many different races to meet. You got lore, you got story, you got joke, and you got tragedy. This game is what no other Marvel game can be. When you will play Spider-Man or Wolverine, you will be exploring what's already there in the real world, New York or other real place. Sure, there will be the Daily Bugle around and the Stark Tower in the background, but it all leads to New York or to some real place. You're not in a fantasy world made for the character. Guardians of the Galaxy is like DC. Batman has Gotham, a place filled with lore about the founder of Arkham, the lore of Gotham, the location of iconic places such as the Monarch Theater, Ace Chemical, Iceberg Lounge, Wayne Tower, Wayne Manor, GCPD, Park Road, The Narrow, Stag Industry, and there's even more. That's cool shit. Guardians of the Galaxy can do just like DC and be creative with their world. Truly, the only right way to explore all those worlds are through video game. In the movie, you couldn't get a clear grip of nowhere. Maybe it was more clear in the comic, but in a video game, you get to explore it, feel it, breathe. You can go see the collection, watch the end of the galaxy, talk to alien no movie could adapt without having an amount of time spent on CGI, and that take a lot of time, and they would have needed to cut corner, but not in a video game. You have all that, and you still can have those sweet moments between your main character and your teammate. You being able to interact in this world of fantasy is something only possible here in a video game. I think personally that art that is complete with interaction is great. It's nice when you look at a painting or a movie and as you watch you become completely immersed in it. But video game and other art that demand the public touch feel personal and unique to everyone interacting with it. It makes you feel the very action he caused, and that's beautiful.
Plus, something I really liked is how the game isn't tied to the MCU. Sure, they use the same core member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but other than that, they are all pretty much unique interpretation of them. But even more than that, the game make a really good use of the non-MCU setting to tell a unique interpretation of everything, from the Nova Corps being a mix of the more police-like force of the MCU and the space hero from the comic, to the appearance of characters like Cosmo and Lady Hellbender that are nowhere to be found in the MCU. Well, Cosmo is in the MCU sorta, but not like he is in the game. In short, it knows how to use the best element of both worlds to create a unique take on the space section of the Marvel Universe in a way we never saw before, and that feels as good as it is unique, making this world not an adaptation of the MCU that is an adaptation of the comic, like Marvel seem to be doing sometime even in their own comic, but a unique interpretation that stands equal to the best Guardians of the Galaxy media, and that is refreshing. Like, it's nice that Spider-Man doesn't need to be a kid in everything because he is in the MCU, which I still like by the way, and that Drax doesn't need to always be a joke, and that sometimes he can be the destroyer, you know. Like, we can have both, and the game once again show us that there is worth in telling the story you want to tell and not one tied to something else. And goddammit, we got to fight Fin Fang Fu, what more could you ask?
The gameplay is also really good. It's a frantic, intense, and chaotic combat where you manage your entire team and strategically dispatch the enemy. You play as Taller, and you have multiple options such as shooting your enemy far away or using different elemental attack or special move, but you can also give out order to your team asking them to perform one of their 4 different attacks, and those abilities are extremely well balanced and make for an amazing team synergy. In short, it's a mix between a fast-paced action game and a real-time strategy game. It's really similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake and Mass Effect. The gameplay is fun, but the melee combat is kinda lackluster. All you can do in close combat is pretty much punch the bad guy. Sometimes it appears quick time that throw you off, and that's pretty much it. You could in the sequel add more variety to close combat, especially when you have the win ability, and this ability is pretty much dedicated to bringing the enemy close to you. I'm not asking something big. Peter isn't really a fighter, so it's fine if he still fight better in long range combat. But I want other options when the enemy get close to me. But if you forget about that, the gameplay is great because it's pretty much you have to manage the fight. Some enemies need to be staggered, some need to take high damage, they're the one that need specific elemental to take them down, and it's pretty fun. At some point there's so much shit happening all at once, and you have to give order, and it's fun and intense.
The constant dialogue in gameplay is also what really helped in making the character feel alive even outside of the cutscene, because they talk a lot and have a huge amount of dialogue and make them feel like real people you hang out with and not just your silent RPG character that only talk in cutscene.
Does not strike me as very safe here, Peter Quill.
Better this than getting shot at.
Speak for yourself.
You'd rather get shot at?
More fulfilling to shoot someone I don't like than look for someone I don't care about.
Our leader seems to care, and so we should also pretend to care.
Of course you would.
This aspect, this choice of making the team talk all the time, even during combat, really helped in making the game feel like a huge adventure with your friend and less like a game. Like, gameplay is not just a filler to the story and is an actual part of the story where your team talk about the story or just random stuff, and you have a lot of character interaction, and sometimes they can be really meaningful. In another game you have the cutscene that set up the next gameplay section, but the gameplay section doesn't really feel like part of the story, but a simple action scene for the player to have fun. But in Guardian, by making the characters never stop to be characters, you have this intense sense of immersion. You see, there are 2 phases to the gameplay, the combat and exploration. And in both, the team engage as much with Peter Quill as they would in the cutscene. In the exploration, each Guardian have 2 different abilities to assist you on your journey throughout the galaxy. Rocket can go through small spaces and hack. Groot can create bridge to cross gap and create platform to reach higher area. Each Guardian have 2 unique traversal ability, and it's your job as the leader to direct them during the adventure, which make them feel like more than just some random NPC following you. They're your team, an important part of your adventure, and making them play a huge part in those Uncharted exploration type sequence actually reinforce your bond with the team, cause you couldn't have make it through the end without them. And the cherry on top of all that, is the huge amount of dialogue when you ask a Guardian to do something.
There's gotta be more machinery up there. Gamora, give me a boost!
Of course.
Right here.
Will do.
Alright, Gamora, let's get the second one done.
Okay.
That looks like a good spot.
Yeah, sure.
The way that Peter have more than just one dialogue when he asks a member of the team to do something make the whole thing feel way more organic. It feels like you're really asking someone for help and less like you're just pressing a button to continue.
Let's look for another way out.
Gamora, can you pry that thing open for us?
And bend my sword? Nope.
Drax, hit that panel where all the wires connect.
Step aside.
Peter asks and they respond. It seemed like a little detail, but it make a whole lot of difference when it comes to immersion. But that's only for the exploration. The Guardian are a huge part of the combat, and it really feel like you're fighting alongside real people even more than in some multiplayer game. Cause in those you're just kind of fighting alone with someone next to you, and in this one you feel like there's a certain chemistry to your fighting. Exactly like the exploration, the way Peter almost always has the team before they do something and how they respond make the whole thing feel much more immersive. The thing is that yes, you are pressing a button to do a move, but the way the game portrays it make it feel like you're not just pressing a button to do a move, but you're pressing a button to ask help to your friend. I only just realized it toward the end of the game, but I never felt like pressing on Rocket and asking him to do the bomb move was just me doing the bomb move. I always felt like pressing on Rocket and then on the bomb move was just the button to ask Rocket to throw the grenade.
Rocket, do your thing!
Even when Quill doesn't ask out loud because they're talking during the combat, it still kind of felt like I was not controlling him and asking him to do the move. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like whenever you need your team, you didn't just control them like in Final Fantasy VII, where you just do the move because you press on the button, but more like you ask them to do something. It might seem like a little detail, but this detail really helped make a whole lot of difference in keeping the immersion during gameplay. Even when you do your ultimate move, you need to talk to them for them to have this power boost. Nothing you do with your team feel like you're just brain hacking them to do something, and this is how you should do team-based single-player gameplay.
You inspire them and you're the one giving them the speeches, good or bad, and this is something no other game does better. It truly makes you feel like Batman, you know. Batman. And finding specific combo of special move on the fly to dispatch enemy the fastest way possible really make you feel badass, because you can spam the fire your gun bottom until everyone is dead, but with your 4 ammo type elemental bullet and 4 unique special move for you and your guardian, it's a waste to do so. Speaking of elemental weapon, those are great and give your gun 4 different ammo type to combine with your fellow guardian's ability. And those elemental weapons are not just color-coded bullets, like the lightning one, that attack the enemy around the one you're shooting at.
Another crazy part is how the story affects the gameplay in this game. In a lot of games, the gameplay affects the story, like in Infamous, if you kill a lot of civilians, your character turns bad. So your action in gameplay change the story, but we don't really see often the other way around. When a story element change the gameplay. Sure, you unlock some move in a lot of games when in story the character gain a new weapon, and you can lose ability if you are wounded, but it's always generic physical stuff, but in this game, it goes kinda beyond that. And it make it so that how your friend feel will actually affect the gameplay. If Gamora have some kind of panic attack and wanna rush the enemy, she will do it and you will have to stop her in game. And if you don't, well, you can't use her anymore during this section. If a character is mad at you, he will disobey you, especially Rocket, furthering this sense of making them feel alive.
Rocket, you got the body of a little girl. Can you fit in there?
Try again, Quill.
Ask him nicely, Peter.
You really are just asking them for help. If a guardian disagrees, he will make you know even in gameplay. But the other way around is also true. Each guardian have their own baggage, their own stuff to deal with. You're a gang of misfits that are fighting your own demon, but as a team, you don't have to deal with it on your own. And when you manage to deal with it as a team, it shows in combat. Your team member that has gone through a positive psychological change will come out stronger and will be able to reach his full potential, unlocking a ultimate attack, their strongest attack. And when it happens, it feels so good. Locking a move behind a personal psychological conflict of a character is an amazing way to make this moment of victory even more powerful. Here in this game, you feel a change in your team member, and this feels amazing. And as the game closes into the end, and your team became a true unified family, something changed again. You remember how I said that I really felt like you're not controlling NPC, but asking someone for help when you want to use their ability? Well, at the last few hours of the game, this happened when I was about to ask Groot for help.
Thanks, Groot. Loving the initiative.
He did it on his own. It might seem simple, but it actually put a huge smile on my face. All the Guardians followed in Groot's footsteps and started to do stuff before I could ask them, and it really felt like we have grown as a team. Not just through cutscene or dialogue where the team seemed happier, but in gameplay where the player felt this connection. And this was the last straw. I fucking love this game. It really used its gameplay and story and tried to blur the line between the two as best as it can. And it worked. Whether it's a cutscene or gameplay, the Guardian felt alive, and I was alive. Through choice I made in cutscene, I was with them, and through psychological change affecting the gameplay, they were with me. And this is simply the fucking best.
The immersion conveyed through the gameplay is also present in the storytelling itself, as giving Peter and Nikki a father-daughter relationship was also simply genius. It made Peter act more mature than he ever needed to be in the MCU, as that made Star-Lord care even more about what was going on. Saving Nikki became as important to us than it was to Quill himself, because we were in his shoes when he met her, because we made the choice he did when he talked to her, because we talked to her, we got ourselves to care about her. And this is something that is everywhere in this game with every character. Like Green and Blue said, you really are Star-Lord, so when he care, you care. Or skip the dialogue and cutscene, which if that is the case, why would you do that? And getting back to this inclusion of choice, maybe the story is only headed in a specific direction, but in this story, Star-Lord is you, and giving you a character to save, to care about, after everything the Guardian lost, is the perfect catalyst to have the Guardian grow as character, because in this game, you truly are Star-Lord, and trust me, you got it.
So that's it. That's our thought about the Guardian of the Galaxy. I hope what we said convinced you to go try it out without spoiling the game. Eidos Montreal clearly put their heart and soul into this, and it showed. In the upcoming Game Award, I will be voting on Guardian of the Galaxy in the Action Adventure section. It deserves it, and deserves praise, cause guess what? In the end, it's a pretty good game. Now a word from our friend.
Hi there, this is Rocket. Subscribe to FullSilverFate. Like this video too. They deserve it. Okay, work's over. Where's my unit? What? Money? What the flark is that? Flocking pay me. You know what? You bozos are dead.
I am Groot.